16 years ago, climbing competitions were a completely different game. But how different were they? Was it all raw power and tiny crimps? Did climbers move with today's finesse? Or were things more chaotic? Till now, no one has won more than 3 Bouldering World Cup series, apart from these 2 climbers who happen to be competing in this competition. One of them remains the only climber in history to win 3 in a row. This finals featured just 3 problems. One of them would see a single top. Welcome to the oldest fully recorded bouldering finals on YouTube. M1 looks simple at first glance. We start with a 3-point plus wall start into an uncling sloper. From here, some tried it static. Dimitri tried to step the blocked crimp and slip. Can't blame him because maintaining tension stepping on a blocked crimp is highly technical. Some tried to heel and that looked more stable. Here's a quick masterclass on heel hooking a blocked crimp. For the initial heel placement, place the foot parallel to the slot. Then, watch how his toe points down as he goes for the move. Sticky. Others just jump for it. Let's compare Dimitri's failed attempt with Kilian Fischerber's attempt. Generation-wise, it looks pretty similar, both going straight up and slightly right, but 2 differences stood out. 1. Look at their right hand position. Dimitri held it from the side and that is actually quite decent for holding and launching from the start, but as his body rises, the hold becomes much harder to maintain with that grip. Versus Fischerber, he uses an undercling cup/wrap, which remains snug even as he reached the high ending position. After this, they have a small move to this pinch, which was actually done a surprisingly amount of different ways. For Dimitri, you can see that his generation is not ideal, falling away as he goes up, but the left heel flick nudges his center of gravity a tiny bit to the right just at the right moment. Kilian did a left knee raise. Immediately we see a difference in the initial position, where Dimitri is sunk and more relaxed. Kilian lunges from an already engaged position that is further right, producing this small and tight snapping catch. Jerome's initiation was a subtle knee drive into the wall, pulling the hips in just before launching. Like Dimitri, his initial position was more relaxed. Cedric did a pogo, and his initial position was engaged like Kilian's. As Cedric finishes his damn near perfect attempt, starting the timer from the point where he releases his hands. He left the stage in a staggering 7 seconds, a world record that has yet to be broken till today. On a dramatic display of skill, Jerome also finished the boulder in style. Does this celebration remind you of any other climber? On the count of 3, say out the name of the climber, and if we have the same climber in mind, you'll have to hit the like button. Kilian didn't flash the boulder, but when he did eventually do it, we also find out that he's an early celebration enjoyer. So M1 had a decent amount of tops. Was M3 the problem that stumped all but one climber? M3 was a boulder that showcases the raw power era of competition climbing, and it's quite obvious where the Rocksetters took inspiration from for this boulder.
And Chris, what are you gonna do?
No feet, underclings. No feet. Oh yes, that feels good. Oh. Oh. No. Yeah, here we go. Oh.
The lighting was quite unfortunate, and we have no idea how good or poor the underclings were. After walking their feet on the wall and matching, they now face a huge move to the volume. Some used the starting hole to generate, while others just launched from the wall. To me, using the starting hole seemed to produce a larger and wilder swing. There were also slight differences between those that just used the wall, between Kilian and Jerome. Kilian's initial position is ever so slightly lower. Look at Jerome's right arm being slightly more engaged. I suspect that the more relaxed starting position gives Kilian more time and distance to generate. Look at the moment where they reach the volume. Jerome's mess is already being ejected out quite violently, while Kilian hits the hole pretty much perfect at the apex of the jump. Now the other Jerome had the same lock as previous Jerome, but he established from a lower position. He then made the move look trivial, generating so much height with such a deep lock. It's almost like his right hand wasn't holding a sloper undercling. After catching the hole, look at this double bump tackle Cedric shows us. The first bump is with a double heel flick. He swings his left leg through, raises both knees ever so slightly, and releases them for a second boost. Then, climbers put a heel on the undercling to go to an awful crimp. They bump their left to the tick mark. From here, generating to the end is tricky. Now, for max efficiency, he should initiate with pulling his hips to the right. But because his foot is below the arete, unless he breaks his shin bone, he physically can't shift his hips up and in at the same time. Jacob Schubert actually did this move and has insights on one way to generate.
Okay, but you know what I did now? Yeah. It's like this. Like I was out here and I was actually having you in my head, and then I went really into the wall and used that.
At the same time you move.
Yeah, use that momentum to come in.
Some tried to heel the screw on the volume, The heel can be a bad beta for a few reasons. It is a source of left foot opposition, and that theoretically is great to oppose the right crimp for stability. Only problem being that the crimp looks incredibly bad and doesn't need additional opposition to make it harder to hold. And left foot opposition is not very useful when the climbers are having trouble generating to the right. But it is not all bad for the heel. It is an additional limb taking weight off the hands. If force is applied with surgical precision, the arms are holding on to less, which gives the athletes more freedom to generate towards the next hold. But this precision is very unforgiving, and you can very easily apply force in the wrong direction, resulting in more force through your hands or an unfortunate slip. So that leaves us with M2. M2 is a power boulder. What does an old school power boulder with only one top look like? The camera work for M2 was kinda freaky. Like here the cameraman was so absorbed in Kilian's feet, and just like that we missed the whole top section. Also, did you notice the bizarre tick marks? Some of them point to literally nothing. They look like guidance tick marks on where to hold the volumes, which is so nice of the setters and definitely not something we see anymore. We start with a 3-point start with a far left foot. Super wide untangle reach to the right. After they bump their left hand in, a huge cross awaits. Most of them release their left, sinking to the right on one arm before going up, but this release looks hard. Let's zero in on this slip that Dimitri had here. He slipped 2 times, while Kilian made the release look a little bit too stable and chill. What's up with that? Can you spot the difference? What stood out to me is Dimitri's heel angle. See how his toe is way more pointed than Kilian's? When his weight shifted, the tiny surface area in contact had no chance. Kilian had more contact with not only just the left, but the right foot too. Look how the right foot rotates and plasters onto the wall as he releases. Other Jérôme had a secret smearing technique that involved not just his feet, but his hands. After the release, we go to a huge but stable cross to a crimp. Right hand now has a shitty volume, and here all of them were stumped. The next crimp was in a really awkward position, and the red was difficult to use and generate from. At this point, Kilian tried asking the crowd for ideas, but quickly realizes that they were even more confused than him. This crux was so frustrating, even got some climbers to give up early. Here Jérôme yells at the brusher in French, "This shit is impossible, don't bother brushing." But the brusher didn't speak French and just went to brush the hole he pointed to. Let's look at that 360 brush technology. One attempt later, he tells the brusher, "Don't need to brush, I'm not trying this shit anymore." Again, the brusher didn't understand French and continues his brushing diligently. Jérôme was at a loss for words, but looked a bit inspired by the brusher's work ethic, so he decides for one more try. Ooh, that didn't go well. What you're about to witness isn't just the crux of M2, it is Jérôme Meyer's final competition boulder. He had racked up a mountain of World Cup medals, and together with Fischerber, till now no one has more than 3 bouldering World Cup series wins. And bam, he got the crux. Bumping his left hand to the right with the thumb catch, look at that crank on the right arm. Matching his own hand before... Holy crap, what a finish. In his last competition attempts ever, Jérôme Meyer did something no one else could. Jérôme may have retired, but the true hero of this competition is the brusher who never gave up.